Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast with Diana Oganesian. With us today was referred to me by Rafael, which is an Armenian entrepreneur and built interesting stuff in robotics. So I was like, okay, if Rafa referred me Diana, she's gonna be good. And as I've seen right on today, she's the CEO of Nörm. She's a serial entrepreneur, author of Triadic AI, therapist, patient modality, and mental health, and she's also a scientist in psychology research based in Rotterdam, right, Diana?
Yes, correct.
Nice. Tell us a bit more about yourself, because I see all of these startups. I've seen that you live the ethos basically. You've been pretty much an entrepreneur since what, 2006?
Yes, definitely. And after the uni, like,
How did you
yeah,
get into that? Like, why? How did you get the addiction?
I don't know. It's from, I mean, early childhood when I tried to sell almost everything, books, toys, and it was a huge fun for me. Like, find something new, figure it out, and solve some problems the others could not solve. So yes, and it's I think definitely I'm a behavioral scientist during last 5 years, and I'm marketing girl coming from business development and marketing, and this is all very connected, pretty sure, behavioral economics and behavioral science, and it's very interesting how we human creatures, behave and our motivation. And that's why right now I am solving the problem how to make ourselves better, like more motivated. And that's why I'm into psychology, like it's mental hygiene. Because I do think that nowadays, as we 100 years ago, we didn't brush our teeth, like it was not normal. Right now it's normal, it's like okay, it's obvious. The same with mental health, that nowadays therapists and platforms like New Norm should connect with each other, interact with each other as a toothbrush and dentist. So
So,
it's
what's
going.
good mental hygiene? Like, if there's no brain, what's a brain brush? How do you brush your brain?
Usually you need to understand how, like that it you should start thinking openly without limitation and start being honest with yourself. For that, I am pretty sure there are mechanisms or specialists that should teach you how to do so. Maybe parents, maybe you're lucky enough at school, maybe a good friend, but it's very important to be honest with yourself. But it's not easy, as if we said, oh yeah, no, because sometimes we have roles, we're playing the roles from the early childhood, and it's very hard to figure it out, who you are and what you want. It's very obvious, right? But it's very hard sometimes, because maybe you doing a podcast make you happy. Psychology, I don't know why. I mean,
Sometimes.
I know why, but like it's not obvious why. In my 30s, psychology made me happy, and it's very important just to talk to yourself.
Can you talk to an AI? Isn't talking to an AI
Hmm.
talking to yourself
Hmm.
if well
That's
prompted?
Yes, that's the trick. That's why it's the triadic modality, Charles, because AI does not have cognitive processes. It's like language model. It replicates what's out there in a smart way, right? And why it's triadic modality, and that with help of New Norm, and not only, hopefully, you talk with AI, and also what you are talking with AI, if you want, if you're ready, if you need to, shared with a therapist specialist. And instead of going to your therapist, spending 45 minutes describing what's going on in your head or in a week, therapy should be ready for you and discussing the solutions, not the problems or the stories. It is rather against, and a lot of therapists will say, no, how come? They should come and talk, like, and we spent 45 minutes just talking. While I, as a behavioral scientist, would say, no, guys, it's a data. We should analyze the data, and we should be ready to figure it out what's wrong, not just talking and pleasing sometimes people or just mirroring them. Because assumption is not good even in psychology or even in human interactions.
How can you not make assumptions and be so heuristic driven if the goal is energy efficiency as humans and we need like a quick conclusions is my question.
Yeah, that's the problem, that it's not always about quick conclusions, it's about efficiency. And because sometimes for me like for is enough, maybe enough to spend about some things and have a thought for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or 15. For another person it's figuring it out for weeks. It depends on age and background and also experience, because it's also it's also a muscle. How you talking with yourself, it's about self-awareness. So it's about efficiency. How? Because it's very important that inside you starting to figure it out what's bothering you. And instead of going and drinking or gambling or maybe being just angry, and you starting to understand what's going on inside you and why you are angry or anxious. And with help of new norm, like you can do it with new norm because it's special modality and agentic. With the harsh cases, it's not enough, and you should share it also with your therapist. The problem is that nowadays, once a week going to a therapy when you are like pissed off or depressed is not enough. And people going to Gen AI, like ChatGPT, because it's official, like that up to 35% of Gen AI users, they are sometimes talking the mental health related problems discussing with AI. So, so the problem is that Gen AI pleasing you, first of all. Gen AI
Mhm.
not memorizing all the emotional information because it's summarizing your information. And that's why we created new norm. When we memorizing almost all the emotional information about you, we creating your visualized memory about you, and we helping you figure out the patterns. And the most important thing also, we never pleasing you, because therapist or behavioral science against like the pleasing, because as a parent pleasing or as a therapist pleasing is not a good thing to do. Be like supportive, yes, but not please anyone. It's wrong.
Right. Is there like science behind that? Because I mean, because
Mm-hmm.
sycophancy in ChatGPT, it is a problem in business, right? To make money. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe that psychologically having someone and my GPT, I've prompted it not to be sycophantic, so I sort of
Mm-hmm.
forgot what it felt like. But
Mm-hmm.
it's always supportive. It's like
Mm-hmm.
hamburger approach, right? Starts with positive,
Mm-hmm.
goes with the constructive feedback and finishes positive,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a good approach in
Mm-hmm.
psychology. But isn't it what people need? Because this world is so hard and confusing that there's almost no one that will actually constructively agree with them. And I feel that Chat GPT also fixed their sycophancy problem. So or is are about to fix it. So what do you think about that?
The ChatGPT is great because, first of all, in spite of all the problems we have heard out there, we don't know how many people really get help, and on daily basis for mental health, and it really prevents maybe a lot of cases which we don't know. But
Mhm.
so talking about the mental hygiene, we understood and we have a very active user base. We launched it in October last year, and we have 4,000 signups and more than 600 active users on a daily basis. So, what's going on there? It's very important that when you speak, we have as a human beings more than 200 different psychology schools and modalities, like you know that psychoanalysis, CBD, DBT, etc. But it really depends on how you speak and what type of problem you're discussing. It's first. Second, it's very important that it's memorizing about everything. And sometimes when you're talking about your neighbor or your colleague and you're discussing some problems, you do not sometimes figure it out that it's connected with your some problem. And with help of visualization, mind graph, you can like go and visualize it. You will see that it's like it's memory, that all the things and events and your goals, everything connected there, and you can discuss further anything you want. So it's make you understand what's going on inside you and keep the private information for you. Also, we have journal, the third connected part that you can memorize, that keep there your text information, handwritings, voice memo, and keep them in mind graph, visualize memory. It's also connected and discuss it also anytime. And it's scientific based because according to my PhD research, it's preliminary results. It's 36% is more effective when you're doing new norm, and and 24% when you're doing new norm with your therapist or you're doing just therapy without new norm. So that's why it's proprietary technology. It's not only AI and how we build our agentic AI there, but also how Minecraft connected with your AI therapy and connected with your journal. Because it's all together and not fragmented. Because people hate right now that it's fragmented. Sometimes even don't understand it. But whenever they see that their therapy and their Minecraft and their journal is connected to each other all in one place, it's awesome that it's keep their private information for them and it's talk to them. It knows them very well and not and there is no hallucination almost because of that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think hallucinations have been somewhat fixed. Isn't the memory problem actually being fixed right now? Don't you think you're like one Gemini upgrade away from being removed from relevancy?
No, because first of all, it could be great, and hopefully it will be great because it didn't and still does not memorize the emotional information because it's squeezing it because it's not as important for ChatGPT or Gemini because it's another battles out there for them. But for people who harshly use ChatGPT and the others, it's very important that in a week we're gonna have import button from ChatGPT, later from Gemini, that you can upload all your conversations. We will filter it. Only take the emotional ones. We can do it, and it will become part of your visual memory, mind graph, with all the connections. Imagine and it's a miracle because we already tested it and because we discussed something and forgot and discussed anything else, but it's connected in your mind and it make you really super like empowered by understanding yourself and your connections and be way more effective and in better understanding of yourself.
Got it. Interesting, huh? And just yeah, tell me about like I'm just curious about your background, like your seller entrepreneurship stuff. Seems you went sometimes from being a founder to getting a job again, and then being a founder and getting a job again. Tell me a bit more about that because you mentioned about changes throughout our lives, right? In habits and thinking patterns. So what happened there, and how are you different from when you started your career as an entrepreneur?
Actually, after the uni, I was hired and was one of the best students to UK company. It was software company developing. It was Travelport. It's the biggest one for airports and travel agencies, etc. And that's how my career began. Like it was a product owner. Very soon, I was representative, etc. But it was not like enough for me. Then I jumped and launched my and I was in France Telecom as a product owner again. It was big career, etc. And I started my first it was a company. It was Maroc, and it exists. All my companies exist, and without me, it was a success story. So Maroc is one of the biggest marketing agencies in Armenia. It was 15 years ago, actually. There was no marketing in Armenia, and we became an agency for Coca-Cola and Marvel and other brands there, etc. And but Armenia is a very small country, very small, 3 million population. It was rather easy to become successful there. At least, it was my story. Later, we launched with my co-founder and my friend Magda, like Digital Factory. It's a digital agency because it was era of digital, all the SMMs, etc. And later, I become a shareholder and co-founder of Yale Extreme Park. It's one of the biggest extreme parks in the region. Because whenever like it's in my DNA. I saw the opportunity, and I saw the problem, and just it was like a story, like one step, another step, and you have a company. And later there was a cool opportunity to sell the company, my share in Yale Extreme Park. It's just an opportunistic like decision for Morocco and Yale Extreme Park. At that time, I had no idea what is startup, because Maroc and Digital Factory was a classic agencies. We get a contract, you get the money, it's very easy, you get a team, etc. Like it's very very obvious. And then friend of mine like asked me to join his team in Silicon Valley as business development, VP of business development. Out of blue, he was a network engineer and still is very good company, Nvidia. They're working with Nvidia, it's Netris, and I just went to Silicon Valley, become a VP. It was like 7 years ago. And then I understood how startup works, like what is it, the rounds, the money, the valuation. It was very new for me. And later, I had an offer from Switzerland as a VP of innovation, one of the big companies there. And I was happy for a while, and they understood that no, I want to be in psychology step by step. I started my PhD. It was a hobby, and they understood that there's a lot of problem with modern psychology, because modern psychology could not serve modern person. And then my co-founder, my dear friend Levon Hovanesyan, my friend of for 20 years, he's ex-Microsoft, left Microsoft from our company, Nörm. He's AI PhD engineer. And we started with him all these tests, and with universities, with Armenian State University. Now we are starting with Erasmus Rotterdam University. We are starting cooperation with York University. And that's how the story begins, step by step. Then we had our first round, like pre-seed round, and that's how the story begin. Like actually, you are muted. You are muted.
Yeah, and even before that, like I believe you got into psychology because your grandparents experienced the
Mhm.
earthquake or something
Yeah.
like that, got into deep depression.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and that seems to be like a
Yeah.
fundamental core for you. Like how did that march you? How did that shape you?
Hell yes. Actually, psychology is for me, and I understood it because of psychology like 6 years ago. Because it's good sometimes to go to therapy, but to the good therapist, licensed one and the smart one. So yes, when I was 5 years old, earthquake happened in Armenia, in Gyumri, my country, my home, like a city. And 25% of population literally like erased. And both of my grandfathers, they helped a lot. One of them was a professor at uni, another was a general manager of a factory. So they help to their colleagues and students, with rescue work. And both of them ended up in suicidal depressions. And there at that time in Armenia there was no psychotherapy in Soviet Union, like nothing. We didn't have even one licensed therapist in the country. You can imagine. And later, after a couple of years with struggling, a huge struggling, we a couple of Armenians therapists from diaspora, American Armenians, they came to our city and helped my grandparents. And maybe that's why I understood how important this is, and I know how to live with the person, with the dearest person you love, you adore, and who changed completely, completely. And for a small kid, I was 5, and then I was like, imagine like 13, 14 when he came back. It was like a miracle. And maybe, and most probably, it stuck with me at how powerful it could be and how important it is, because I got my dearest grandfather back, and I had with him awesome, unfortunately, 5 years, because his brain was damaged because of some medicine, and he had a stroke. and yeah, we lost him when I was 18. But it stuck with me. That's why it's drive me so like much when I receive the positive feedbacks from you, Nörm, when people say, hey, it's helped me, thank you very much. It's really my fuel. Right.
Yeah, it is impactful, huh? And you said like good licensed therapist. Like I've had a lot of psychotherapists throughout the year. As an entrepreneur, you go through a lot, and psychotherapy, especially CBT, is just like a no-brainer. It's so good. It feels so good for the brain to release all that tension and make sense out of things for someone that reasons intellectual. Obviously, I discovered with time emotionally as well. But back then, I didn't think I had emotions, but yes, I do. Um, have you gone through some therapy that was less effective, or some practitioners that weren't the best?
You know, thanks God, me personally, I was very lucky. I am very thankful for the therapists, and I tried both psychodynamics and CPT, because I do think that depends on your problem, and depends on the for the same person or your life period. It's could be different approaches, could be very helpful, not the same approach like CBT only or this or that. That's why combination works better. But it's very important that I met a lot of, as in any profession, psychotherapist who, you know, whoever came to the profession because it's calling, they are very good. Whoever just come to have additional therapy session and write the check, it's not as good as it should be. And the problem is that in their cabinets, there are one-on-one sessions, and sometimes when the client, he's in a deep pain and doesn't have any experience, sometimes client doesn't understand that it's good or bad, and he pissed off in a therapy in general, but that just was not right, or maybe this person was correct for like right for them. That's why I think that in the future we need to have this, as we right now have this meeting recorded, and they should have the analytics of their sessions, and even to be helpful for therapists too. I am against that this data is only belongs to therapists, not his clients, and because it's data and it should be analyzed, absorbed. And I know that a lot of therapists is against this, but I know that in a couple of years they will say that I am like, because data will speak instead of me, that is correct, it's more efficient and effective, and that's how we protect other people in the cabinets 101 from harm.
There you go. Me, I'll tell you like some stuff that I've seen like after 10 years of therapy that is more or less effective. Um, Psychotherapists, they're humans, right? Some of them should do a bit more therapy and work on themselves, because sometimes you just come to the session and they just listen. And that's
Mhm.
fine. That's good. And psychotherapy, I mean, someone needs to listen to me, especially back then when I was managing over 2,000 employees as a founder and CEO. Like I was listening to all of their shit every day, but no one really was listening to me. There were employees. I was a founder. It's total different worldviews and realities, right? Lots of conflicts of interest actually there. So too much listening, and it makes sense. It makes economical sense for them, right? Because it's they're gonna be paid more, and I'm just gonna stick around forever. And I have troves and troves of data and emotional stuckage, because I mean, I worked like 15 hours a day and go through shit that most people wouldn't in a lifetime, in months. So I've definitely seen that, and just like a bit more. Yeah, generally speaking, if they would have been founders or CEOs, maybe they would have understood my background better. One of my coach slash psychotherapists was an ultra runner as well, so we could relate. But sometimes it was such like different background that I feel they didn't have like points, anchor points to actually make a relevant interventions. I want to ask you one last question, because I know we're already out of time. You're Armenian. I believe Armenian has been going through some pretty rough shit as of late and in the past couple of decades. I see also that I think you've been Russian educated or something like that. And in your paper, you mentioned about the psychological effects of defense mechanism and coping under prolonged armed
Mhm.
conflict, which is fascinating. What have you seen in your people and in conflict zone? I study also a lot of Israel and the Palestinian stuff nowadays. Is trauma long lasting things? Can they ever heal from such traumatic events, even like decades after they happen?
I've shortly answered the one remark regarding what you said previously regarding therapies, and I will answer this question very shortly.
Yeah.
Remark, like the very important for therapies, not only as we said, listening, but also memorizing. That's why, like for me, we had the sestive.com free tool for therapists. It's our like tool when you can. It helps you to memorize information and help you to be more prepared for your next session. But the feedback from some therapists that it would be more effective and people will pay me less because they will come less to our session. So, and with New Norm is good because we're memorizing everything about you and it adapts. If you are CEO or founder, it adapts to yourself, to your information, and help you also like from the mental support perspective better. So it's interesting combination. The second thing about trauma, I do not believe that it will heal you completely if you lost your child, for instance, or you see some horrible stuff like my grandfather. But a therapy or mental support or mental health doesn't matter. It's from human being or what combination or from platform help you with providing you certain mechanisms and tools to be functional and happy with these wounds because they would not go away. It's not possible, but at least you can function and feel the sense of life.
Right.
That would be my answer to your question.
And it's a good one. I mean, how do you expect losing your child to go away? It's pretty impossible, right? Because you forge memories for years
Mhm.
and years. You live these. You have anchored emotions in there, so it's gonna come back. I guess it's what you do with these stimuli, right? Like, do you fall into a spiral of negativeness and you get crippled, or do you move forward with that? So yeah, what about the second question I asked, like with well, I guess you sort of answered it, but my angle was more like you sort of live that and you know people that are close to you, right? Like, do you just refer them to your app? Like, how do you help them in war
Listen,
zones, that is?
we are very careful with that because right now, new norm mainly used by people like from a startup world and from IT community because it's right now mainly like mental support, mental health, but not for psychiatric cases. It's more like psychology cases. For the problem like that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure that they should start from human help. Of course, if there is no human help, it would help. I'm sure that it would be more helpful, but not rather than not having any other like support. But I would say that we haven't tested it yet. So I cannot say with proof that it would help at 100% because we're going there step by step. Yes, because it's very we're gonna be there one day, but not now.
Got it. Well, you have a fascinating background and you're doing cool work. Definitely my vibes. I'll keep on following everything you're up to. Where can
Thank you.
people find out more about you, Diana?
Yeah, it's newnorm.app. It's our company. LinkedIn, please like connect with me, ask any question if you want. We're right now looking for new norm ambassadors, people who will test it, like and share with us our new version, which is not published. So we're right now gathering our second batch of ambassadors. You can find the information on LinkedIn, also new norms and my LinkedIn too. So yes, this is like pretty much all of it.
So
And
thank you
test
so
it on
much.
Android and iOS. Test new norm. Like you will find it very easily, and I hopefully it would make it you better and more happy.
There you go. So as Diana Oganesian and Charles